This is a quick overview of the functions of this Ideal No.4 tool. It's definitely an all-in-one tool. On the far end you have the mold, and then moving towards me you have the seating and crimping chamber, and at the end you have this conical section which is used to bell the mouth of the case. Turn the tool over so you can see the various openings. This again is the seating and crimping. Over here is the priming chamber, and this is the bullet sizing chamber. Over here you have the corresponding parts. You have the post that pushes the bullet through the sizing chamber. This pushes the primer into the case, and this extracts the case from the tool, from the this chamber right here. This tool has been wrapped with leather by me to facilitate using it as a mold. It gets quite hot, as you can imagine. This wood loading block was made by me to hold these cartridges. It makes the loading a lot more easy and efficient. This is the homemade charging cup made from a .22 long rifle shell, and of course this is the replacement depriming. The first step for me in this reloading process is to size a quantity of bullets. This bullet has been cast in this mold and is lubed. I drop it in the chamber, the resizing chamber, and then push it through. Some of the excess lead is removed. It's been sized, and some of the excess lube has been removed. The next step in the reloading process is to prepare the case for reloading. This step involves belling the mouth of the case so it'll accept the bullet. As it comes from the manufacturer, the case diameter is too narrow to accept the bullet. There are two ways that I do it. One is provided by the mold. That's this area here on top of the mold, and you can force one of these cases on here. It requires quite a bit of strength, or you can place it on the table and tap it with a mallet, or in my case I've created this metal punch that's been tapered to fit exactly into the case, and with a few wraps with the I'm able to expand it so it'll hold the bullet fairly easily. Do not overdo it, or else it won't go into the tool. Obviously there has to be a way of decapping your fired brass. There's a very clever system that this tool has, and it involves using a decapping pin. And again, I mentioned it during the video that this is a replacement pin. The originals usually get lost over the span of time, and being that they're so small, it's very easy to use. You drop the decapping pin in the chamber, in the sizing chamber, like that. You drop the primed or spent case there with the spent primer, and you just close it. And the primer has just fallen out. You remove and you have a deprimed case. The next step is priming the case. Remember, do this in this sequence, because if you prime it first and then you try to bell the case mouth using a mallet, funny things can happen. So I'm going to drop it in the priming chamber. That's right here. I'm going to take a primer and just pop the primer in. It just seats easily there. And then close the tool all the way. And you'll hear it and feel it seat. There it is. Pull it out. And now you have a belled and primed case ready for reloading. The next step is charging the case. I'm going to use the loading block that I made and this scoop, this measuring scoop that I also made, in this case from a .22 long rifle case, and a brass tube. I soldered the case on to the end. This case has been calibrated or cut down to hold about 2.5 grains of smokeless powder, and if you double scoop it, it'll fill the Smith & Wesson long case with about 12 grains of black powder. That's 6 grains per scoop. I designed it that way, obviously. Make sure you consult manuals, reloading manuals, several reloading manuals, especially the more modern ones, on the proper loads for whatever cartridge you happen to be reloading, especially when you're dealing with vintage firearms. So we take the scoop, and this is black powder. This is smokeless powder. Fill it up, remove the excess, card it off, and you can do a very precise measure this way. I'm going to dump it into the cartridge case. Tap it, make sure you get it all. Now the case has been charged. The next step is the final step. It involves seating and crimping the bullet. Make sure there's only a single charge of powder in the case. If you're using black powder, it would be filled up about 7/8 of the way, which would be fine. But in smokeless, it should only be a little bit, and it's easy to double charge if you're not paying attention. Make sure you use good light when you reload. I'm going to take one of these sized bullets. Place it in the case. See, it holds, it seats easily. Drop it in the seating and crimping chamber, and now I'm just going to push it through, and you'll feel the bullet being seated and then finally being crimped. Extractor pulls it out, and there you have a complete Smith & Wesson round. And the only thing I do is just clean it off a bit with a rag, and there you have the final product. The caliber is clearly stamped on the frame of each Ideal No.4 tool. The dimensions of the seating and crimping chamber vary by caliber. On the top part of the tool, I'm now pointing to the extractor which pulls the case from the tool when you use that function. Above it is a small pin which forces the primer into the case. And above that is the movable pin which forces the lead bullet through the sizing chamber. This is a top view of the mold and the sprue plate. Now we see a view of the mold cavity. In this detail, we see the bullet on the right is as cast as it came from the mold, 98 grains, .314 in diameter. The one in the middle has been dipped in lube, and the one on the right has been passed through the sizer chamber on the tool, removing some lead. It's down to .312 and some of the excess lube. It's now ready for reloading. Remember to mark your dummy rounds so you can differentiate them from live ammunition that you've loaded. Once you familiarize yourself with the functioning of the tool, it's time to load a dummy cartridge before you load live ammunition. It's a cartridge without any primer or powder. It's completely safe. Drop it in the chamber to see if it chambers. Open the action to see if it ejects. If it does that, you can proceed to loading live ammunition knowing that it'll function in the gun properly. In this detail, I'm going to demonstrate the use of the depriming feature. Drop in the depriming pin. Drop in the spent case with a spent primer. You're going to close the tool and it'll force the primer out over the pin. If it was upside down, the primer would fall out and the case would be ejected by the ejector. There you go. In addition, this part of the tool contains, to the right of the case, contains the priming chamber and the sizing chamber. Um, Usually when you buy as I said, usually when you buy the tool, the Ideal tools, the decapping pin is missing because it's such a small piece, and over the course of the almost 100 years it disappears. Luckily, there's something that replaces it for almost no money, and that's the lead trim guide, which is easily available from any reloading catalog, and around $5 plus shipping, and it's a perfect fit. Again, it's a Lee trim guide, and this one is caliber specific. It's for the 32 Smith & Wesson Long. I've used these in several other reloading tools, vintage reloading tools, and they work fine. So it's a great thing. Otherwise, wouldn't be able to use that particular function. In this detail, we have two seemingly identical 32 Smith & Wesson Long cartridges. The one on the bottom left loaded in the Ideal tool. The one on the top right is a modern Winchester load. Both are identical in bullet shape and bullet weight and in every other specification. And that's what the number 4 tool was designed to do, load a factory standard cartridge. In this case, 32 Smith & Wesson Long. In this detail, you can see two Ideal number 4 tools. The one on the top left is the one we're going to use to demonstrate, and that's for the 32 Smith & Wesson Long caliber. On the one on the right, which looks identical, is the 32-20 Winchester centerfire. Both 32 calibers, both Ideal number 4 tools, but they are not interchangeable. They are two completely different cartridges, and the molds are different. Different weights, different diameters, different length. In the 1920s, Lyman purchased Ideal, and the evolution of the tools continued. The one on the left is an all-steel number 3 or number 10 tool. It takes interchangeable dies, and it's made for a family of cartridges. The one on the right is current production. It's all aluminum, and the black paint has been removed. That's why it's silver. It takes interchangeable and fully adjustable dies. It's still available in large and small, large for rifle, small for pistol. And you can see a die set to the right. This particular one is for 45 Colt. Again, they are still available today, still produced. In addition to the number 4 Ideal tool, which we will demonstrate, I thought I'd show you two more reloading tools from my collection. These are both made by Winchester, same late 19th, early 20th century. The one on the left is a Winchester lever tool designed for both pistol and rifle cartridge. The layout is similar to the Ideal, however the mold is separate. On the right is the model 1894 tool, which was designed for smokeless because it full-length resizes the cartridge. This one is specifically designed for the 38-55 rifle cartridge. They came in a very wide range of calibers of that period. Again, these are available on eBay. Quite commonly, you might have to wait for the particular caliber that you're looking for. Just to get back to the one on the left, is designed for 44 Winchester centerfire, one of the most popular calibers of the day, and usually they are at a premium because they're more popular than others. We're looking at a page from a reproduction of an Ideal catalog from probably the early 1900s. And this particular page deals with the Ideal number 4 tool, the tool we are demonstrating today. And it contains some interesting information, and it shows some 25 different calibers that the tool was made for at that time. And it describes that the weight is 24 ounces, and it's nicely finished in an all nickel plate. The price of the tool with a cap extractor and charge cup was $2.50. If you lost it, the extra cap extractor was $25, and the extra charge cup was 10 cents. Very interesting information, and here's a beautiful cut of the tool with the various important points, call-out points.